Hey fam, and welcome to Manifest University with your girl, me, Soul Journey J. And this is a video especially for empaths. So I want to talk about 5 misconceptions about empaths. This is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while because, as an empath, you are constantly faced with certain stigmas and stereotypes about what I would like to consider a gift, although you do have to evolve into that thinking. And I just want to clear up some things. And if you're an empath, I hope that this will give you a little bit of clapback ammo, pow pow, for some of the things that people may think about you or even say to you with regards to you being an empath. I want to start off by saying, number one, what is an empath? If you don't know what an empath is, you might want to take a look at a couple of other videos that I did on my other channel, Soul Journey J. There's a couple videos about top 5 empathic people problems, how to protect yourself as an empath, and those may be a good place to start. But if you've been an empath and aware of your empathic abilities for a while, this video is going to help you out. So let's get started. First misconception about empaths is that empaths are weak and that their sensitivity is something that causes them to be weak in the world and not able to really move and thrive like other people. This is a huge misconception. In fact, it's actually the opposite. Because if you are an empath, it's like you're training you're exercising your spiritual muscles more frequently than anybody else. Imagine having to constantly feel on a much deeper level things that other people, it doesn't affect them in that way, and still having to adjust and still having to cope in everyday situations. You're building up your emotional strength. And so empaths are actually stronger because they are constantly exercising those emotional muscles. So, what many people may see as, a weakness is actually your greatest strength, because you have, as an empath, had to develop in a much more accelerated and intense way than most people in terms of being able to adapt and move and be in this world with all of its challenges. So that is a great misconception, that the sensitivity of an empath prevents empaths from living in this world effectively. Misconception number two, that empaths are always nice and always kind and always, willing to help. And everybody has a light and a shadow, an ego and an authentic self, an Adam, Adamic version, and Christ consciousness. We all have the capacity for all of those things. Being an empath is no exception. You are still human. And while empaths do tend to have a greater desire to help and to serve, it doesn't mean that empaths walk around looking for someone to save, or just constantly being needy to help. Okay. I can see why people might assume that caring makes you vulnerable to being taken advantage of. But an empowered empath has learned how to set clear boundaries that you know that doesn't allow them to be taken advantage of. Misconception number three, that empaths are loners. And this has some level of of truth to it, because empaths do tend to need alone time. And for that reason, it can come across that empaths are loners. But empaths crave deep connection with people, and oftentimes in social environments, unless these are people that on a deep and intimate level, most people are looking for shallow conversation. And empaths are just interested more in having deep connections, having meaningful conversation. And so it can appear that they're loners because empaths tend to give their time, energy, and attention to things that they connect with on a deep level. And the other part of it is that empaths do need a lot of alone time to, clear out the things that they energetically may have collected throughout their day. So I can see why that might be a misconception, but empaths, most of the empaths that I have interacted with, enjoy other people, but enjoy other people in deep ways. Misconception number 4: empaths are difficult to be in relationship with. This comes from the whole drama circle of, like, the empath, narcissist, scapegoat kind of drama triangle, or the empath, narcissist kind of play in relationships. And before you really fully understand yourself as an empath and understand, you know, some of the baggage that you might be carrying as an empath that you need to unpack, and that you need to be able to you need to grow from. An empowered empath is someone who recognizes their tendency towards people who are hurting, and is able to distinguish between when you are in that person's life or connecting with that person because you want to help them, or you're connecting with that person for relationship purposes because you have that you are compatible in personality. And so it's not that empaths are difficult to be in relationship with someone, but it's that empaths tend to, before they become empowered, pick people who are maybe hurting more so than relationships that are healthy. And so there has to be, that level of development for them in order to pick healthy relationships. And the last misconception, number 5 misconception about empaths, we went through empaths are pushovers. That's not true. Empaths are too sensitive for this world. That can seem true, but it's not. Empaths are loners. We understand that there's a lot of alone time needed as an empath, but that is also not true, because empaths do enjoy deep connections with people. Empaths empaths don't have that shadow side, or they're always, willing to help and be open with. Empaths are weirdos. That's number 5. Empaths are weirdos. There is some truth to that, because if you're a person that feels things much more deeply than most people, then you may have a tendency to come across in ways that most people don't understand, because they don't know that you're trying to process a lot more than what they are. So you might have some quirks about you. You might have some tendencies that people don't necessarily understand, because a lot of people are able to filter out things that empaths are, not able to right away. And that takes a lot of practice to be able to focus on the one thing that's most important and kind of block out some of the other things. So, you know, it's easy to, as an empath, to be very distracted by what is not being said. So your attention can sometimes go in that direction versus, what is visibly happening or maybe audibly being communicated. And until you learn how to kind of filter out some of those distractions energetically, you might come across as a little bit scatterbrained or distracted, or just have some weird quirks that sometimes empaths have to try to keep their energy, sphere uh, clear from things that are trying to attach itself to them. So anyway, I hope that that was helpful for you guys. If you're an empath, share some of the misconceptions that you've had in the comment box below. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.